I think I kind of burned my
someone
coffee.
knocked.
Sorry, I just took a sip of my coffee and I think I kind of burned it, which is, you know, it happens. But
Damn.
fine. It's not bad.
Maybe I've only ever had burned coffee. As we have this
Very possible.
debate
Actually,
before,
now
where
that
you
it's
said-
now
where
that
you're
it's
like,
cooling down a bit and
you're
I'm
like,
drinking
you don't
it, it's
boil
like
it.
you don't boil it. If you boil coffee, you do burn it and it tastes acrid and gross. You want to keep it under boiling.
I don't know how. I should get a French press. I should get an espresso machine.
So you just said you should get
Like
a French press like it's a fancy thing, but it is literally the easiest way to make coffee. It is actually
It's
so
not
simple.
the easiest way to make coffee in that I don't know how to do it yet. So checkmate.
So here's how a French press goes.
I say that, but half the time I use the coffee machine, I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing the right settings here. There's too many settings, and I'm not sure.
So here's a quick French press / AeroPress guide for you and the audience.
No,
So
it's a cliffhanger. We can't do this.
Yes, we can. We're gonna do this. We're
We're
doing this. This is more useful than any information that Password will teach our audience in the next 10 minutes. So here's how to drink coffee, all right?
I mean,
this
guess.
is relevant because Dave likes coffee. This is Password, and
Yeah,
you're paying
this is
for
lore.
this.
Password lore.
So a French press and by extension an AeroPress are basically cylinders that hold coffee grounds and water. This is an impressive concept, right? We'll use a French press as an example because that is what I do, what I just did to make my coffee. But the same logic applies to an AeroPress, which is just a smaller inverted French press. So basically, for mine holds quite a bit of coffee. You take 6 scoops of coffee beans, adjust for the size of your French press. If you have a smaller one, it'll probably be 1 or 2 scoops of a standard coffee scooper that you would get. It's like, I think like a tablespoon or something. I'm not 100% sure what the measurement is, but you throw that in the coffee grinder and you press the grind button and it turns it into coffee grinds, right? And then you pull out the French press, you pull out the plunger, because a French press is usually made of 2 parts. It's a plunger, which goes in the top, and then the cylinder, which is made of glass. And then you take the grinds and you dump it into the French press. And then you go to your little electric kettle and you put the water to 205 degrees, right? 205 degrees, give or take a few degrees if it's a dark roast or light roast. That's not boiling. Boiling is 212 degrees. You keep it just under boiling. Then you wait for it to get to temperature, and then you pour the hot water over the coffee grinds you put in the French press. And then you put the top on the French press and you wait for 4 minutes. And then when the 4 minutes are done, you push the plunger down to the bottom, which separates the coffee grounds from the coffee water. And then you have good coffee. That's all it takes. There's nothing, that's not complex at all. You literally dump some stuff in a cylinder, and then when it's done cooking, you push the plunger down and you get good coffee that tastes good. That's how you French press.
I will re-listen to this later because I started staring at a figurine and then lost track of what I was doing.
This is what I deal with, everyone. This is my life.
I should probably see a psychiatrist. Anyway, the comments were very split, where people think that Toaster's a psychopath and that's completely impossible to drink coffee right after you brew it because it's so scorching hot. And then the other half of the comments were like, you don't boil coffee.
Yes,
so
because the other comments are right and everyone else is a Philistine who doesn't know how to make coffee.
Much like shaving and many other basic practices that people have to do all the time, no one knows how to do it and no one agrees on how to do it. And man, we've failed, man.
This is not true. People know how to shave and people agree on how to make coffee. That's all there is to it.
Not when you
just
ask
gotta
them
make it good.
and you're like, hey, do you guys agree on how to do this thing? And they're like, what? No, you do it this way. What do you mean you do that? As if answering my question, they did so again. The knock. Remember the knock? And I got up to march towards the door. The rational thing would have been not to answer it, to alert the others, but in that moment I just didn't care. I had my hand on the doorknob and opened. What the fuck? Hi. Dad? Um. Oh, that's is doing anything for you? All you people that are like, I can fix him at Brian. Like, here's hot Brian.
Is this gonna be Dean's older brother, Freddy Fazbear?
Oh my god, is this Freddy?
I'm gonna be very exhausted.
How did he get
if
here?
It's introducing yet another character when it can't even balance the amount of characters that it already has.
Well, I was assuming that it would be a Memphis character, a bad boy, even if he's not a dragon, because Drax's not a dragon. But maybe it's related to Dean. That might be a bit of an assumption just because bear. He looks like a black bear. But enjoy this art, everybody. You have the lovingly shaded titty shadow. You got the belly overhang. Just a lot of things that people are happy to see all in one place. But I assume he's a bad guy because he's got scars. He's zangy.
Uh-huh.
On the other side of the door was a bear, tall and imposing. He must have assumed someone taller was going to answer the door, as his eyes notably dropped to meet mine.
How did he get here if the road was blown up?
I don't know.
Who was phone, Keith? Who was phone?
That's why. Well, that's why I think he's a bad guy with the group of the bad guys, because they're already here somewhere doing something. I don't know why. What's taking them so long? Having someone just knock on the door is interesting. Dave just opening the door without looking through the eye hole is an interesting choice on lookout duty. Like, no calling out when a new figure shows up and you don't know their allegiances. He just opened the door and a large man just is now here. You're
not Hammond. I don't know what voice that was. That just came out.
It's Guy McDude voice. Sorry?
Don't worry about it. Can I come in?
He didn't bother waiting
I
for
guess
me
this
to
is
say.
the voice I'm doing for him. All right. This is just happening.
Just gave him a handyman.
Boomhauer this a little bit.
He just went for a handyman voice. He didn't bother waiting for me to say either way. Instead, just pushing me aside and stepping to the foyer. Who are you? He seemed to consider the question briefly before giving me a curt nod.
Dom.
Yeah, you are. I mean... Dom?
What?
Nothing, just... You were looking for someone, or...? He seemed to watch me carefully, almost curious.
Something like that. You got a rat problem.
Look, this is a relatively solid first 30 seconds character introduction. I followed Dom's gaze over the stairs where Thanatos was standing. He didn't seem to give much away from his expression, just seemingly watching how things are playing out. He immediately gives the vibe, he does give handyman vibes, like he's just like as if somebody has impossibly just shown up for like a maintenance job, despite this place being inaccessible.
Completely oblivious to the rest of everything that's
and has
happening.
no idea what they're walking into, and doesn't understand that he shouldn't even be able to be here. But more likely, somebody with that attitude in this situation is probably a fixer or something, and I'm guessing works for the sister, because that's the only person who has agency at this point. That if she's alive, I can't tell if she's alive. That's another problem. Her being in the dream, if anything, suggests that she's dead, because everyone in that dream was dead except for Dave. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there either. And I don't know if Benson neutralized her. There's people who have literally beaten the game, and they say they still don't know who Benson neutralized that one time he said he went off to neutralize somebody. And I don't know if that's on them or not. I don't know if that's the game or if that's those people not being able to pay attention very well. But it's worrying. I followed Dom's gaze over the stairs where Thanatos was standing. He didn't seem to give much away from his expression, just seemingly watching how things were playing out. He's a pet. Another grunt was all that came from that before I realized something. How did you get here anyway? The road's gone.
More than one way to get up a mountain, kid.
That's a smile. You climbed?
Not this time.
What does that mean?
All right, that's enough of that. All right, talks.
Okay, I kind of like him. He's special.
Real quick, you might want to cover your ears, Junior.
What? Why, Dave? Before I get another word out, a gunshot rang out through the house and Dom collapsed. He fell hard on the floor, the telltale hole right through the eyes indicating what happened. What the fuck? Well, you don't have to voice Dom anymore, Toaster.
Well,
Just enjoy that teaser for when Dom presumably matters in some other route.
I'm looking forward to that character killing Roswell. It will be
Just
really satisfying when
introduce
it
this
happens.
character for 5 seconds and he's dead. I do appreciate a more unhinged password. I thought even me, I was like, Dave, come on, because I thought I understood what was happening. I thought that, you know, Thanatos was about to knock Dom out and Dave should cover his ears to not also get knocked out, but fucking was surprised to me thinking Dom's gonna be in this timeline for more than 5 seconds. My ears were ringing when I managed to make out Benson walking down the stairs as he put his gun away. He said nothing, wandering over to the large bear now sprawled out on the floor and shook his head. You are terrible at lookout duty, Dave.
Dead. You did shoot him in the head.
What? What did you do that for? Don't you know that every, like, organization trains you to shoot for center mass because aiming for the head's actually really stupid? What are you, an anime butler?
Did you care to wonder who this butler was? Where he came from, perhaps? That was the Dave. That was the Dave Dad voice. That was a mistake.
You also said who this butler was.
Oh,
I incepted
whatever.
your sentence and ruined it. He was about to tell me another way off the mountain in a casket.
To be fair to Dave, that was actually pretty useful information to try to glean from this bear.
Yeah. I don't know if we were supposed to think that he was being threatening. It kind of looked like a hoorah kind of pose in context, like more than one way to skin a cat. It literally looks like the pumped emote that Hrothgar do. Is they bring their fists together and are like they look all proud of themselves. But maybe he doesn't have the same himbo energy. He did give off I'm going to skin your family energy a little bit. Benson's eyes were wide briefly before his expression went grim. He looked from me to Dom on the floor and hung his head without saying a word more. The others started scrambling down the stairs then, taking in the scene before them. So I don't think he was related to Dean.
What if Dean's immediate reaction is going to be, my brother?
My other brother, Dom. He ran Fazbear after dark.
No, that was my Dom that I called to come to the mountain. My delivery Dom. He does house calls.
He's the only person you can depend on in this situation. Dean led the charge down the stairs, the three of them stopping shy of stepping off the stairs. What happened? Everyone seemed to look down at the bear on the ground. Blood starting to pool on the floor around his head. Seemed to? Okay.
Who is that? Where did he come from? That was literally how long it took me to get my vocal cords as tight as they needed to be.
To pivot from Sal to Roswell rapidly.
The issue.
They didn't used to share
isn't
scenes
even,
as much.
Yeah, the issue isn't even going from Sal to Roswell. It's going from Sal to Roswell after I take a sip of like hot, relaxing coffee. Like, oh no, my vocal cords cannot get where they need to be.
We're doing irreparable damage to your voice. You're gonna be like the lead singer of Avenged Sevenfold, requiring like surgeries or whatever.
I really hope I never become like the lead singer of Avenged Sevenfold.
There's like 100 reasons not to want to be the lead singer of Avenged Sevenfold. Where's Haas? Upstairs. Didn't take too well to hearing a gunshot. I nodded slowly as Roswell wandered from behind Dean, past Benson towards Dom. I wonder if they're trying to... I wonder if that's a random detail, like, just people reacted slightly differently to this, just to make them feel like characters, or if it's very specifically like a setup for something about Haas. Like Haas route lore, does he specifically have like does he have like PTSD about around guns? Was Haas the one that was being taken to train with guns?
I don't know.
I thought Haas was the one that Benson trained with guns. That seems like a problem if he reacts that poorly to hearing guns. If that's the thing they're going for. I nodded slowly as Roswell wandered from behind Dean, past Benson towards Dom.
Does anyone recognize him?
You could just be like... I'm just like, I nodded slowly. Roswell approached the body. I'm just like, please, man. Just, you don't need to complicate it that much. Silence. Roswell examined the body more before standing up and shaking his head.
No wallet or anything on him.
I managed to get a name out of him at least.
That's a start. What was it? Dominic. His name is Dominic, or Dom for short, I guess.
Why did... I guess that's what Dom means, but it feels like it's almost implying Haas already knew his name. Haas appeared at the top of the stairs, peeking out from around the corner. Each step he took was cautious until he had taken up Roswell's spot behind Dean.
He's dead, right? He was shot?
Yeah, Benson shot him. We all looked over his way, but he seemed to have his attention elsewhere. How do you know him?
He's been here before, with me. He was on set, I mean.
Does Benson not know who he is? I definitely thought the implication of Benson shooting him on sight is that he knew this was a bad guy, and not just someone who showed up at random that might even be help. Okay.
Who can say? Well, with Dom dead, that's gonna limit our options moving forward. Was this the guy that he was talking about when he was like, someone's gonna come here and it's gonna be really variable?
Yeah, I guess he's the variable. The variable was nothing happened. What do you mean?
Oi, Dean. Flip him over. Sometimes I feel like Caitlin Riley in that skit where from Make Some Noise with Sungwon Cho, where it's like voice actors that are professionals but are really over their job. That's what I feel like when I read Password. Especially when I do the Roswell voice. Like, just sometimes I'm like, all right, well, it's time to put in my work and get my paycheck.
Who?
The other bear, obviously.
Dean did as he was asked and flinched once Don was on his side. He didn't even seem to worry about the blood on his hands.
There's a really thin line between Heath Ledger Joker and
where you're going?
No, well, yes, I'm about to lose my mind, but there's a really thin line between like Heath Ledger Joker, Sal, and Keaton. What's his first name?
Michael
Keaton. Thank you, Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice. Like there's like a really there's like a really thin line between those voices, and that's all I have to say about that. But that's how you get from point A to point B. So the problem with that is that like if I do Thanatos to like if I do Thanatos in like too low a register, he just becomes Beetlejuice, which is the Sal voice. Like the Sal voice is very close to like a Beetlejuice, but it's like his grumbly Beetlejuice. So it's like it's in a way like there's like a Venn diagram here of like the slug woman from Monsters Inc., Beetlejuice, and Heath Ledger's Joker that literally comprises every single character voice that I do in this playthrough. So I was really happy for a moment to throw some Boomhauer in there for Dom, but now that that's removed, I'm back in that hell. The Olympic rings of my voice acting. It's just like a nightmare
too.
It's like a nightmare like to be in. Yeah. That was a fun vacation for 4 lines of dialogue.
God, I rewatched Beetlejuice like last year or a year ago, which is different. And still a really good movie. Still really entertaining and has some really iconic shit going on. But Beetlejuice himself was a real crowd pleaser when I was 10 and real annoying when I'm 30.
Yeah, he's the worst. That's the gimmick.
Deeply annoying character the entire film, and when you're a tiny child, you think he's the cool, funny guy. It does not last.
No, the whole point of Beetlejuice is like, what if one ghost was really annoying?
Yeah, and it's just a weird, toxic, masculine, weird, irritating man, and you're like, please stop being this person. Jesus Christ. I'm rooting for every other character at this point. Dean did as he was asked, blood, blood, blood.
Find it. That was not the voice, but it's fine. We'll get there.
How did you know this was here?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've seen him walk in here a whole bunch of times already.
Dean pulled out something that had seemed to be tucked into Dom's waistband, standing now with a gun in his hand. Was it behind him? I don't know which side of him was up. Haas started to shake and backed off to be behind Sal now, watching things unfold. So Haas is very upset about guns then. I'm trying to remember, I wonder if we did go back to the scene where Orlando gets shot, if Haas is like reacting in a specific way to foreshadow this, because I don't know if it stood out then.
One more weapon that we're gonna need.
Need? Against what?
You think no one's going to come looking for him?
What? This guy's with the guys in the woods?
I'll let you figure that out.
If we know he's with the guys in the woods, then I'm just like all the more wondering what the fuck the plan is of the Dragon Mafia people, where they just sit around in the woods for a week after announcing themselves. And then one of them just knocks on the front door and gets shot in the face. That was their plan? Like, what the fuck?
Very deep master plan.
I don't understand. Are they also newly graduated high school students? Like, is everyone in the story an idiot?
I mean, do you really want me to answer that question? Because the answer is very simple.
Wow, you said that when Sal came up. It's a callback.
We've answered the who, but not the where. As Roswell asked, I would like to know where he came from, too.
Well, the woods, right? Maybe.
What do you mean?
He mentioned that there was other ways up the mountain, right before you butted in.
can't have you damaging your ears now, can we?
Well, all right, two things about this exchange. One, before you butted in, no. He started talking about there being other ways up after Thanatos had already shown up. But also, they did not protect Dave's ears. Dave still... So everyone's wrong. Both things they said to each other did not reflect the timeline of what we just saw. Like, where the rat talks was before, there's more than one way up the mountain, so no. There's another way up the mountain. That would mean the same avenue can be used to get down, right? Unless it's like a magic one-way gate.
Stands to reason. Unless he jumped from a plane, most avenues that can be taken up a mountain can be used to head down.
Thanks, everybody. Okay.
So there's a walking track.
No way to find it without heading into the woods and searching. Which, given this guy had a gun, well... it's not safe.
Right.
I'm upset by these people. Like, only just now considering that there's a way to get out of here on foot after a week. When, like... Of course there is. It's not a Pokemon environment with, like, tiled obstacles. You can just walk places. I don't think we've established that this is a precarious enough, like, trip that you would reasonably be completely incapable of just walking on foot through the wilderness until you get to the side of the mountain, until you get to the side of the road that's past the explosion. And even on top of that, it's not completely outside of the realm of possibility that you could probably just walk around the explosion even. Like, that's... I'm just gonna assume that it totally is definitely, completely, perfectly carved out all the way to the side of the cliff there. And that's how you can't go that way, but... It's like... We live in a very complex 3D space, and like a lot of geology likes to like settle into nice slopes, and I didn't get the impression that we were on like a super high up, like mega mountain, as opposed to just being like in a remote location with a shitty road. So like, you probably just walk around it. This has been in the cards for me for like the last week, and nobody seemed intent on testing it. So them just considering it now is like frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse, knowing there's a way out, or that the way out is going to get us killed. They're not like, I don't think they're trackers. Honestly, you just disappearing would probably make it very hard for them to find you.
No, you don't understand. They're not trying to avoid the people, they're trying to avoid the plot, Keith.
Oh no.
You can't have the plot happen. That would be too much.
On that note, what were you thinking, letting him inside like that?
I don't know, he pushed his way in. Probably could have just bashed the door down if he wanted to. Dave has to take some responsibility ever. Like, just look through the fucking peephole or the window, see who's knocking on the door. You were on watch. No, you're never on watch again. Like, this is... You clearly don't understand the concept of what your job was to do.
Dave is very dumb, okay? You can't act like he has any personal responsibility. He's that dumb. He's so dumb, Keith.
I know, but damn. This is why everyone babies him. He's just useless.
Yeah. Dave would be genuinely more useful with a lobotomy.
Oh god.
He's who that procedure was made for.
Still, you put everyone at risk doing that. I was just on autopilot.
I guess there's nothing we can do about it, but what are we going to do about,
Just keep stacking dudes in the freezer. Once more, we all looked at Dom's body. Maybe it was the shock of watching it unfold, but somehow it didn't feel as bad as seeing someone I know die. No, it's because you don't know him. The feeling started to settle in my stomach the more I thought about it, and I turned away to cover my nose.
It's going to be so interesting. It's going to be so interesting when at the end of this, like in the quarry and until dawn, the cops show up and there's just a pile of bodies in the freezer.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me, Toaster. We established in my playthrough that the cops never check the freezer.
Yeah, whatever.
Because I got the stupid somebody locks himself in the freezer and dies ending, and they're just like, no, I don't know what happened to them.
Well, presumably they checked the freezer eventually, and that's how they found the dead body. They just didn't check it immediately to save them.
It became a point of debate of whether or not that person could have survived or not, given how much time was left in the freezer. Because I'm like, I don't know if they would have died, but I'm not gonna like test it personally. But it was especially moot point because I got a glitch where the freezer door despawned after they locked themselves in the freezer. So
yeah,
it was as funny as possible, just as physically it ever could have gone. Like, Jesus Christ, the game just shit itself. But also just like this off topic a little bit, but Jesus, this is a universal problem for those like Walking Dead inspired choose your own adventure 3D games, like Supermassive games and so on. Fucking like not film, but like make your endings. Like when various characters have endings, the various bad ends, they often don't even bother to quote unquote shoot it. They don't like, they just awkwardly skip ahead and he's like, oh, I guess they died. Like, where's the scene of the person like struggling and slowly giving up hope and like kind of like fading away in the freezer? Instead, it's just like they close the door like, oh damn, I don't think I can open it from the inside. Hard cut to they're dead. Hard cut to other characters, then hard cut to like, oh, they died in the freezer. Like there is no like actual like ending shown in the thing, so it feels like you don't care about the characters. It's so that one of the reasons why people complain about those games so much is because all of the endings are incredibly abrupt, and it feels like they didn't make them essentially, and they don't seem to get that because they've done it like 7 times now. The feeling started to settle in my stomach the more I thought about it, and I turned away to cover my nose, certain that if I caught a whiff of blood it'd be over.
We can't have him here. I love how pragmatic he is.
So if we're definitely assuming he's with the Dragon Mafia, apparently, that means the Dragon Mafia was with Haas on the film set? That means something.
Sure.
Into the freezer, then.
Yeah, there we go. That's the voice. That's what I was looking for the whole time.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Took me a minute to find it.
Will he fit? Can't we just dump him somewhere outside?
And run any number of risks exposing his body like that?
The freezer isn't a great idea either, though. It's not that big to just start piling bodies in there.
No one else is going to die, Haas.
Noise. Did you just take a sip of something?
You said that transmit over Discord? It was that loud?
Yeah, it was like extremely cartoonishly loud. It was like a vor gulp, like very funny. Yeah, that was very amusing.
This is a thing to know about me, audience, is I am famously a loud swallower. I have been called out so many times
everyone,
for extremely audible gulps. This is just a thing that follows me around in life. No one else is going to die, Haas. I didn't even believe myself as I said that, finding that my eyes were glued to the floor rather than making eye contact with anyone. The others seemed to feel the same way as much as we all hoped that'd be the case.
Dean, Sal, may I get some assistance in moving the body? Even just off to the side for now.
Wordlessly, the 3 of them picked Dom up and started guiding him off to their side, blood dripping and marking the path they followed.
Hey, Haas.
Yeah?
You said that he'd been here before with you. On set. What else do you know about him?
Seemed harmless enough. Didn't say much, pretty placid, unless you rubbed him the wrong way or got him excited. Possibly both at the same time.
Whoa. Whoa.
I remember one of the cameras breaking because he'd been worked up after some good news. Guy sounds like a tweaker. Basically is Brian.
That sounds familiar. That sounds dangerous. Speaking
He's
of
not the
audible
most.
slurps.
That was on purpose. I did that into the microphone. This is for all of you. It's ASMR time.
Wow.
He's not the most dangerous, just has his natural bulk and strength, but beyond that, nothing.
As opposed to me, who is a killing machine.
Thanatos, when you say he's not the most dangerous, what is? You mean who?
You don't think he's in league with the rabbit in the woods, huh?
Who else could he be with if the road is gone? Plus, if there's any talk of danger, that's just the most logical conclusion, surely.
Well, if he is, it'd be news to me. Nothing like that seemed to be the case on set, but it's not exactly something that comes up in conversation.
You're forgetting the best part. Oh no!
Oh no?
Oh, crap.
Huh?
What's gonna happen when Dom doesn't head back?
This is bad!
I love when characters think about things.
At least
We're
they're
still in it.
At least they're considering stuff, but I'm struggling with like their like very childish mentality, their weird naive approach where they think that Dom just walked up to the front door completely unannounced and unplanned and unknown to anyone, just like walked up and introduced himself and no one knew that he was doing this. So they're like, what happens when he doesn't report back? And I'm like, wouldn't you think they're probably like literally watching if this was happening? Like, if they were here with Dom, do you think Dom showed up independently and then just walked in and never checked in with his boss or whatever the fuck's happening? Like, that's... I mean, maybe this is this much of a Coen Brothers fucking like just web of dumb mistakes, but you would think that he was literally working with them and they already immediately know how this went.
We're still in a time where things are up in the air. Too many variables to really control.
What happened to having seen this multiple times?
Stuff that happens outside the mansion, I have no control over. You know what my functioning range is.
That's not... The variables aren't about control, it's just knowing what the outcomes are, and the timelines are the same outside the mansion as in the mansion. So we're just meant to wait until the next thing happens?
Unless you plan on taking the fight to them. Correct. Which is a terrible idea. We don't know how many more are out there shy of a rabbit and probably Memphis Noble.
Unless Thanatos would just fucking tell us how many are out there.
Did we know that was Orlando's last name, Noble?
I don't know.
I'm not bringing that up as like a plot nitpick. I just didn't remember if that was the thing.
Noble might be new. I thought that was a direct lineage to the best Doctor Who companion.
Mm-hmm. You will find no disagreement with me. Donna is the best Doctor Who companion.
Yeah.
There's no argument there. She's literally the best run of Doctor Who. A homicidal rabbit and a dragon. Great.
You do outnumber them and have more guns than them at this point.
Yeah. And the dragon's ability to like breathe fire and be scary is just like hasn't really become relevant in the plot, so it's probably fine.
Yeah. Plus or minus whatever the fuck's going on with well, no. I was about to say plus maybe the chance to negotiate, but then I remember Orlando's dead. Like, extremely dead, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Just how bad is Memphis compared to Jack?
Bad.
Does everyone have answers now about things? Dean and Sal wandered in, Sal stepping forward while Benson seemed to wander away somewhere. Dean remained by the door to the room. The word seemed just almost never fits the sentences it's used in. It's just things that are happening. Dean remained by the door to the room they'd left the body in, staring at his hands for the time being.
Orlando was lovely.
You know, Sal is like not really that shocked by all this. You would have think that after, you know, 90% of this game where his route is like,
Orlando is my brother and I love him so much.
he would be a little bit more fucked up about his death.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Orlando was lovely. Imagine if Orlando was taller than me, stronger than me, meaner than Tyson at his absolute worst, and did it all for fun.
at its absolute worst, not worse, worst.
Oh, yeah,
as in
you're
past
right.
tense, worst. I hate it when people make that mistake. It drives me mad.
I could care less.
That also kills me.
You taking that people take grammar for granted? He sounds awful.
He is awful. Compared to his son, Memphis is a person that would make anyone cower, and rightly so. If he's in the woods, the amount of danger we're in just skyrocketed. I have an idea. Not a great one.
What's new?
It pales in comparison to something that we know will work.
The premise of all ideas that are not great is that they pale in comparison to ones that we know will work.
Are you talking about firearms?
The way he introduced it's like, I have actively bad information to introduce.
It's funny because he's like, I have actively bad information to introduce. It would be better if we had good information, but we don't. So here's the bad information. It's like, yes, thank you. That is in fact how it works.
Would guns not work? Let's just say he's boasted about being shot more than once and come away relatively unscathed.
Okay, well, Benson has a 66% headshot rate so far, so I don't think he'd come back from that one.
Well, nuts.
It's Roswell, you fool.
Oh.
I'm nuts.
You can't say that around Sal, he'll knock you out.
What's your other idea? That's...
Roswell looked to Thanatos standing quietly nearby. They made eye contact before being, briefly before Roswell looked back to Sal.
What about poison?
In what way?
We unleash a poison gas into the entire woods, devastating the ecosystem, like a Captain Planet villain.
I don't think poison would work. You'd have to get it into his system somehow, and even then, who knows how long it would take.
These characters plan like the cast of Always Sunny.
Yes.
What about poison? I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about?
Then
Roswell then looked to me, back to Thanatos, and mumbled out his next words carefully.
Maybe Thanatos.
This is so hard to keep up.
maybe Thanatos can do what he did to us and just knock him out.
Excuse me?
I mean, it could work, right? I don't think he could guard against something like that, but the bigger problem would be anyone else in the vicinity.
Huh.
Given the very real possibility that he has a gun, I don't think you'd get much of a chance without being shot as well, Roswell.
Disagree. Bad feedback, Sal. One, I don't
Yes,
think
very
anyone's
bad.
ready for the idea that they need to anticipate and shoot a small rat. The implication of the Memphis and David visits before was that Thanatos didn't meet them to begin with, so they probably don't know about the rat. The bear was surprised by the rat, but also the rat doesn't have to reveal himself. He could just hang out in the bushes by the front door and then just fucking like be an anti-homeless loitering siren on them, and then they're knocked out, and now you, I don't know, zip tie them, unless you're all gonna go right character and be murderers, which I don't think they'd be, but maybe Benson would. Benson would.
I wasn't.
What? You need help?
I wasn't suggesting that I do it, but I suppose I am the best choice.
Do you need me to take over Roswell? You're falling apart.
No, it is just hard to switch back and forth between diametrically opposed voices.
Yeah,
and
that's why I'm like, do you need help for this scene?
no, it's okay. I'm fine. I mean, I would love to hear what your take on my Roswell voice is. Go on, give it a try for the
you
audience.
have before.
Have I? Go on, do it.
Every time I was like,
Like, have you forgotten what he did to us?
I guess that's close. That's an all right one. Now do Sal. What's Sal's voice sound
that's
like?
much harder.
Oh, I wasn't suggesting that I do it, but I suppose I am the best choice.
Like, given the very real possibility that he has a gun, I don't think you'd get much of a chance without being shot, Roswell.
I guess that's all right. You did a good job, champ.
I hate gravelly voices because they will actually, like, in 3 lines do damage to me. And then very like fucking Andrew can do a smoker voice for like 6 hours straight. I can do it for 3 lines of dialogue, and I now have like a fucking like scratch in the back of my throat that won't go away for the next few hours when I'm not even doing that voice anymore. It's frustrating. I'm like, I don't know how the fuck he can do that. Because he did that fucking Batman voice for Sigma for the entirety of VLR, which is upsetting. I'm I'm not following what they're saying, though.
No.
Why would Roswell be the one to do anything? I thought Thanatos, the rat with the speakers. What is Roswell doing in this scenario? I don't understand why. It's like, I get that on some level. It's like Roswell's primed to be the sacrificial lamb that goes in and gets shot trying to save the day, because that's what they keep saying is,
Let me die instead.
but Thanatos' speakers are on Thanatos. You don't need to do anything. The question here is whether or not Thanatos will do it. I don't think you can make him do it unless you're gonna figure out how to kill Thanatos and figure out how to like hotwire his corpse's speakers, which is very morbid, but I guess he's not alive. Whatever. And if it doesn't work,
Well, then we only lose Roswell. Well, then we not only lose Roswell, but have a pissed off dragon with a gun, plus whoever else he's brought along.
yeah, I don't know if I missed something, but I don't understand what they're saying. I don't know what Roswell's plan is.
I don't think I like the prospect of, well, that, among other things.
What else then?
when what's just happened settles, I imagine if it's anything like last time, we're going to be too distracted by our own thoughts to do much to fight off anyone. There's a very real chance they're better equipped and used to using a gun than we are.
They're better equipped and used. More used to using a gun.
Yeah.
I guess it's they're better equipped and better used to using a gun, but that's a weird sentence.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop nitpicking that. That's fine. It's fine. These things happen.
I think because equipped and used is redundant, I think they might mean equipped as in literally equipped and not
Yes.
them saying their proficiency with guns twice. It's like they're more equipped and proficient, essentially.
With the exception of Benson.
I mean, Benson has the advantage in that it's his home turf and he could set up sight lines and be ready if they know they're coming.
Agree.
How do we know he's not in on it? He killed Tyson. Chose not. Jesus Christ, Dave. He literally just killed the bear in front of you, and you think he's in on it? I mean, I've seen fiction that stupid, but damn. Chose not to get out there sooner to save Orlando. Killed Dom before we could find out the way off the mountain he knew.
Take a deep breath, Dave.
This is undercut by him being like, "Good morning, Benson. How you doing?" Earlier, if he's this angry still at him. He let Orlando die too, Sal. How are you not angry? Yeah, I don't know why there was that scene didn't amount to anything, so I don't know why they included the scene where they're just like, hey, if they're gonna try to keep the momentum of him being super like a burning fire of anger at Benson all the time. The moment I saw Sal cower, I felt bad, if only just a little. I felt I'd just run mentally into a brick wall. He wandered away to talk to Dean, and the two of them disappearing soon after it's out of sight.
What are you planning on doing now?
Do we have options?
If anything, I feel like we should be preparing for something to happen, right?
Go prepare then.
Well, we just made a plan involving you, and you didn't say if you would do it or not. Were you not paying attention?
Roswell's really dumb, okay? He's got no brain.
No,
There's nothing in there.
I mean Thanatos. He never said if he would do the knocking them out thing. They just said that in front of him, and he just ignored it. And they also earlier said they had no options, and they should just have to wait. And I guess we just have to wait is an actual thing they said. But now they're like,
yes,
we should do something again, and they're looping again while also being told they have no options again, and it's kind of doing the looping like, have you forgotten what he did to us thing, where it kind of lost the thread a little bit.
Any advice?
I had my eyes trained on Thanatos and couldn't shake the feelings I held right after Tyson had been shot. I still wanted to tear into him. I still blamed him for everything that was happening to us.
Oi.
There was nothing I had to say. Not anymore. He wasn't even thrashing in my hand and just letting whatever was happening to him happen. Is he just killing Thanatos?
Dave, what are you doing?
We just discussed a plan of knocking them out with Thanatos' speakers. What the fuck? Nothing. I watched as Thanatos relaxed in my hand, gotten over the initial shock of being grabbed. Every problem we have right now is because of you.
Dave?
So what?
People are dying because of you. You could have chosen to save Tyson by telling me the password. You could have saved Orlando by stopping him from going outside. You could have saved Dom by warning us who it was. My grip tightened, and Thanatos seemed to register it. Not that he made any comment. but I felt Roswell step forward and put a hand on my arm.
I don't think...
Let him get it out.
I hate you. I hate you so much. I could feel the tears already starting to well up in my eyes.
You hate me. After every other time you saved your friends, you hate me now? Couldn't have done any of that without me.
My grip tightened further, but he didn't budge. The metal inside him was hard, and I could feel it pressing against my hand, starting to hurt. I don't know about every other time. Twice? Twice. We saved Sal in Orlando, and Orlando's dead now. So we saved Sal once. That's the amount of saving that we've gotten from him, because the other timelines don't count. We didn't see those, whatever other routes we could have taken. Like, the massacre ending doesn't happen, and we didn't prevent the werewolf one, so weak defense.
Yes.
Hey, Master.
My eyes opened wide, and I looked around the room. Thanatos' gaze just went to the ceiling as he shook his head.
We're gonna have to try something else next time.
Something hit my ears hard, and I crumpled, but not as hard as Roswell did on the ground. Caught by no one, given Haas immediately fell to a knee, clutching his head. New sentence, full stop, not Anyway, I'm not gonna try to interpret the following order or whatever, but I don't actually know what that sentence was. My grip on Thanatos loosened slightly, but tight enough to still keep him pinned.
Good night, David.
Whatever hit me the first time hit again, and it was enough to knock me out. I barely felt Thanatos leap out of my hand before I slipped away. Unconscious, right? So we physically got hit. That makes me wonder if Memphis showed up behind us or something? No, because everyone
maybe.
crumpled. I don't...
Yeah.
It sounded like other people were being knocked out by his speakers, but it sounded like Dave got physically hit, so it's just confusingly conveyed, which isn't necessarily wrong, because things that are happening to the character that from their perspective that are confusing could be written confusingly on purpose, but I actually don't know what we just read. The ground was hard and cold underneath me, the smell of blood flooding my nose. As I opened my eyes, I looked around. No one was around. Hello? Maybe it was just the speakers, explained slightly confusingly, so it started to sound like blunt force trauma. Huh. Alright.